I can't tell you how much of a pain in the ass this car is. I hate 7th generation Civics. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. This is obviously not going to go on the forum, but I have spent a day trying to get this thing apart. The nuts on here were rusted off so bad. I think they probably were originally a 14mm. One, I didn't really hammer, actually. I did hammer, but not by much. One was a 13, I think one was a 12, and the nuts came off, and they're around here somewhere. There's one over there somewhere, and the other one's somewhere too. And this is where you're supposed to disconnect this in order to be able to drop the subframe, but I couldn't get that off. So then I tried cutting it, and, well, actually I went and bought a bolt extractor from Harbor Freight, and if I would have done that first, maybe. The problem was on this, it was rusted off completely on one side, and then the nut was remaining a little bit here, and then mostly on this side. So, you know, if you could have twisted it free, yeah, of course you would have got it off. But you can see the rust here, so I had to disconnect the exhaust all the way down at the back end, which I didn't think was possible, but apparently it is. And that's probably what I should have done first, just drop this whole thing as one unit and then stick it back up there. But this is going to make it easier for somebody in the future. I'm going to remove this heat shield, and then I'm going to try to put this thing in my press. I'm going to have this sitting on the arbor, and I'm going to have a socket. Hopefully that'll fit around that portion, but connect, make a, it's touching here and touching there. I don't know that that's going to be possible because that thing's so darn wide. Maybe I'll even be able to twist, I won't even be able to twist that thing. Well, what I'm probably going to end up doing is, because I'm going to have to take this heat shield off anyway, although I could cut it from here, I'm going to have to cut this thing off, and then I'm going to have to drill it out. I'm going to have to go get a stainless steel bolt, nut, and locking washer, and that'll be how I reconnect this. Amazingly, there was no gasket here, it was just this flange. So, and then I'll put this thing back on, which I'll probably put this thing back on anyway, get it out of my darn way. But I've been working on this for no lie, one day, over a day. I was cruising really well, ran into this problem. I do not foresee another problem, but you know, hey, anything's possible with 7th generation Civics. So, once everything's apart, it should go back together smoothly. It's getting it apart is the problem. And because this thing was a northern car for a couple of years, it got a hold of a little bit of damage. And you see all this dirt. Somebody went off-roading in this vehicle and just plowed into some dirt and caked it right up into the subframe portion where that bolt is right there on the other side. It was just caked in there. And that's the bolt that goes to the back portion of the lower control arm. But there's just mud and dirt all over this thing, so I would put a garden sprinkler under this thing at night and just progressively move it down and get all this dirt off of this car. It's just, it's falling all over my shop, making all my tools dirty. I have to constantly keep sweeping it. I'll be glad when I'm done with this thing.